Hi, I'm Gabriel, and this is Black Force Comics Weekly Review, episode 22. That's right, we are beyond the legal limit, so we can partay. So we're going to talk about this past week's comics, as well as this week's comics coming up, and the news is probably going to be mostly trailers, but we're going to talk about it. So let's get started with this last week's comics. First up, because you know I'm a Valiant comic fan, Ninjak. It's not issue number 1, it's issue number 10. But it's the beginning of the Operation Deadside. If you're familiar with the Valiant universe, there's this whole multi-dimensional world called the Deadside. And it's like you step through a portal and you're in another dimension of our own world, and that is the Deadside. A lot of the characters have been there before. Ninjak is going back, and that's why he has this awesome costume, because he says in this issue, I've been there before, and last time it didn't end so well, so he made this awesome costume to prepare himself for all the magic that's on the other side. It's supposed to be a magic-resistant costume that he's wearing. So he teams up with Punk Mambo on this comic, and they're both together going to the Deadside. So that's kind of where this one starts off, and the way it reads, it's someone's reciting the mission log that they had, what happened, where they went, and why they took so long, longer than they were supposed to. So that's issue number 1, or issue number 10 of Ninjak, part 1 of the Deadside, Operation Deadside. It's a cool one. I love it. I'm a Valiant fan. Next up, Hawkeye issue number, what issue? Issue number 2. So this is going to find Kate Bishop and Clint Barton 50 years in the future. So I was wrong when I said that she was going to be the young lady. She's not. She's actually 50. Well, you know what? I still think 50 is a little bit young. It's not. The older you get, the more you realize 50 is not that old. Or is it? Anywho, so we find a 50-something-year-old Kate and a 60, 70-year-old Clint. And they are fighting to go back to get the children that they had given to S.H.I.E.L.D. from Operation Communion. And so they're going to get those children, and they were found by Mandarin. Mandarin has one of the children, and they're fighting Mandarin. Kate's trying to talk to Mandarin, and Mandarin's like, I will destroy you all, because he's Mandarin, and he wants the power. So that's kind of what this issue is all about. The story's great. It's a really good story. I really don't want to tell you a lot about it, because it reads very well. It's well written, and the art's fantastic. I love the art on it. I'm usually not a fan of that grainy, gritty art, but this one's really good, and it's done really well. So check that one out. All new Hawkeye, issue number 2. Next up, Star Wars Annual, Annual number 1 for the Star Wars storyline. This is a really good comic. It has nothing to do, well, it has something to do with the main characters. It's an agent from one of Princess Leia's agents, and his name is Inib Ray. He's from Coruscant, and he infiltrated Coruscant, but he works with Princess Leia, and he's a spy, and she sends him to go save another senator or a whole bunch of senators that are trapped on another planet, and he's very hesitant at first, but the whole story he's reading is from his mind. You're hearing the thoughts he's having to himself, and he goes to save the senators, and he ends up getting decimated by the Emperor, because the Emperor is there as well. And so he completely just obliterates the planet, pretty much. Well, not the planet, but there's this citadel that they're on, and he blows up that citadel. All those senators blow up. The Emperor Palpatine's leaving, and he's laughing. And then he gets on all the screens around this planet, and he's saying, "Oh, the rebels have attacked. Look what they've done. Listen to the phone ring." So the Emperor is getting on all the screens in the city, and he's saying that the rebels have attacked, and they blew up and killed all these senators, and so he's making it look like a rebel attack on the planet, and directly to him and to these senators, that they were having a peaceful meeting. And so the spy's like, well, I screwed up, I'm dead now. So he's going to keep spying. It's an awesome story. It's an awesome introduction of a new character. If you haven't picked it, pick this up. This is the first appearance of a character. So get it. It's a key issue. All right? That's Star Wars Annual number 1. Next up, and lastly, Star Trek Green Lantern, issue number 6. This is the crossover series. It came out. This is issue number 6 of 6. So this is the final one. And the story of this is that during the Blackest Night story arc, everyone died. And at the very end, Ganeth was alive, and he opened up a portal to another world that some of the other Lanterns escaped through right before the world died. And so that's how they ended up in the world of Star Trek in their universe. And so all the rings spread out to the Romulans, all these different to the Klingons. Everybody got these own rings. And so it's a good comic. It's only 6 issues. Go back and get the other 5. It's really good. So this last issue finds them fighting Necron. And Necron has reconstructed the planet Vulcan. So he's reconstructed a dead planet. They're fighting on Vulcan against Necron and all his dead. And they're bringing up Spock's parents. And Spock doesn't have a ring yet. And so he's just there walking, and all his parents are coming up, and they're saying, "Oh, son, join us." And he's like, "This is illogical. You're not my parents. This is all illogical." And it's very Spockish. And so he's going, he just starts killing them, and he doesn't kill his mom yet. And finally, I can't remember who it was, just comes up and just kills his mom. So anyway, they're fighting Necron. It's all the different Lanterns together. The Sinestro's there. Kilowog is there, Star Sapphire is there. They're all fighting together against Necron, just like they did in Blackest Night. And they're looking to find who's going to be the bearer of the white ring. And they don't have the white ring. They need to combine all the rings to the one person to be that white ring bearer. And Kirk, who doesn't have a ring because none of the rings found him worthy, Kirk has this bright idea to give Spock the blue ring that Bones is wearing. And he tells Bones, give Spock the ring. So he gets the ring, gives it to Spock, and as soon as Spock puts it on, all the other rings from light years away start coming to him. So the Romulans are fighting the Klingons in outer space, just flying around using their rings, and the rings leave them. And so they're just left there in space and they die. And the rings all come to Spock, and Spock is the bearer, and he fights them, and it's a cool story. He fights Necron, and they watch the planet Vulcan get destroyed again. Very sad for Spock. Sad day for his Earth feelings. But that's issue 6 of 6 for the Star Trek Green Lantern crossover event of 2015. So see, it says it right there on top, crossover event 2015. If you missed it, you missed the crossover event of this year. So check that one out. Issue number 6 is only 6 issues long. A lot of great covers, so check it out. Lastly, for our kids comic, Munchkin, Duck Deck the Dungeons, issue number 1. Now, this is a Christmas-based storyline. It's based after the Ebenezer Scrooge 3 Ghost story. And you're going to have Spike and Flower, the 2 main antagonists for the whole month. If you read the Munchkin stories, there are a whole bunch of just different stories thrown into a comic, and they're all a bunch of little short, funny stories. This whole comic book is about the, what is that called with Ebenezer Scrooge? That story, whatever that story's called, that's what this is all about. It's them going through that. They're visiting the ghosts of Christmas past, Christmas present, Christmas future, and they learn nothing because they're Spike and Flower. If you read Munchkins, you know what I mean. They learn absolutely nothing, but it's funny. It's interesting. It's hilarious. It's a good, fun read for kids and adults alike. So that's going to conclude this week's comics, or this past week's comics. Let's look at what's coming out this Wednesday. Alright, so starting out this Wednesday, Death's Head number 5 is coming out, and that's been a really great story so far. Also, number 1 of Dragon Age Mage Killer. If you're a Dragon Age fan, this one's written by Greg Rucka. It's Tessa and Morris, their mercenary partners, eliminating those who use blood magic to hurt others. But when a powerful patron employs them, they realize this next job may be their last. So it's going to be a really cool story. I like that whole setting of that dark fantasy world type. It's the Dragon Age setting. So check that one out. Batgirl number 46 is coming out. Batman 66 number 30. Batman and Robin Eternal number 11. I don't know why I always tell you there's a Batman and Robin coming out. You know there's a Batman and Robin Eternal coming out every week. Batman Arkham Knight Genesis number 5. Here's one that I'm looking forward to reading. Batman Europa number 2. Which, in my humble opinion, I think is a better storyline than Dark Knight. I'm sorry, that's just my opinion. You read it, read the 2, see what you think. All right? Harley Quinn number 23 is going to find Harley Quinn 2 different missions. She's going to have her Harley Quinn's doing something while she's actually working to get her Mason McCarby Mason McCarb out of jail. That's what she's working on, while her Harley Quinns are working on something else. So that's going to be a cool storyline. Harley Quinn's always an interesting read. Justice League number 46. Justice League United number 16. This story is going to tell us how Adam Strange, Adam Strange has been trapped in the Zeta Beam. Because during the whole reintroduction of Justice League United, we've been trying to work all these different teams together to try to help free Adam Strange. There's been a link to every single issue that they've had to fight to help bring Adam Strange out of that Zeta Beam and back into real life, or to existence. And so they're working on that. If you've been reading Justice League United, there's stories that it might be canceled. So read up on it. It's a good story. I really enjoyed it. It brings a whole bunch of different characters that normally wouldn't work together, brings them together. So check that one out. Also, another cool one from DC is coming out, Lucifer number 1. Now this is going to find that God is dead. Lucifer is here on Earth, opened up a nightclub, and Gabriel, the angel Gabriel, Archangel Gabriel, he's working... he has accused Lucifer, but Lucifer's like, I didn't do it, I didn't kill him. So they're working together to find the murderer. And so it's Gabriel and Lucifer working together, and it's kind of like a buddy cop story. And I've told y'all before, I like the buddy cop story. I'm going to read Lucifer number 1. All right, so that's Lucifer number 1. Secret 6 number 9 is coming out, and that's been a really great story. Superman American Alien number 2 is coming out. It's been a month since number 1 came out. It's an origin story, shows Clark Kent as a child, learning to use his powers, learning how to fly, learning to be Superman as a child. So that's what that's about. Oh, also, the introduction of the Judge Dredd storyline, starting all over again, starting with issue number 1 this week. So Judge Dredd number 1 is coming out this week. It's going to be awesome. My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic number 37. Star Trek Starfleet Academy number 1 is coming out. Seems like I'm talking a lot about Star Trek. Star Trek Starfleet Academy number 1 is coming out. This comic book story is going to take place in right before the movie came out in 2009. So it's going to have Bones, it's going to have all the characters, Kirk, everyone, in the Starfleet Academy, as well as another team that we're going to kind of follow their story as they go on to do their own thing, as they have their own ship. But that's where the story is going to take place, right before the movie came out in 2009. All right, so that's Star Trek Starfleet Academy, issue number 1. Also, Beauty number 5 is coming out. That's been a really great story, and for a lack of remembering their names, we're going to say Detective Girl and Detective Guy are finally been recruited by these people that are working to blow off the covering that the multi-million-dollar company has put over all these deaths. So they're working together with them to blow the lid on that. Also, the goddamn number 2 is coming out, and that's the story of biblical Cain walking the earth before the flood and just kicking butt and taking names. So that's the goddamn number 2. I Hate Fairyland number 3, which is Scotty Young's own work. He writes the story as well as does the artistry for it. It's amazing. Invincible number 126 with our new story arc with him going back in time and living through all that again and knowing the knowledge. God, I don't want to ruin that one for you too much, but he stopped his father from doing that big attack that he did, taking out everyone that was defending the earth. He stopped it from happening, and he convinced his father to do good. So we think, we don't know what's going to happen. We're going to find out in issue 126. Southern Cross number 6. Southern Cross is a great story. It's been about a starship that goes to Mars, to a mining colony on Mars, and there's this girl investigating her sister's death. Turns out that the Southern Cross is powered by some kind of it's an entity that's powering it. And so that entity is taking lives and taking souls. So you got to read it. It's a really great read. I've really enjoyed it. All New X-Men number 2. Darth Vader Annual number 1 is coming out. So that's going to be another awesome annual. I hope they introduce a new character on that one as well. Illuminati number 2. Kanan number 9 for the Star Wars fans. I haven't been a big fan of the Kanan storyline, but, you know, somebody is because it's still going. Marvel's Captain America Civil War Prelude number 1. Now this comic, it's going to be a 4-part series, and this comic is going to give you the introduction to the Civil War. So if you want to know what happened in the time of Captain America number 2 and whatever else to Civil War, this is going to cover that time frame for you, that time gap, and tell you what exactly happened leading up to Civil War. Also, Mighty Thor number 2 is coming out, and that's going to have Loki coming back with Jane Foster as Thor. So we're going to find out if Loki's going to be an assistant to her or if he's playing the cards again, being a triple spy agent. We'll find out. Miss Marvel number 2, which has been good. Silk number 2. Squadron Supreme number 1. And finally, Claus number 2 is coming out. And Claus is, of course, the story of Santa Claus, how he became Santa Claus. It's a really good story. Issue number 1 was great. So check that out. So what's in the news? Couple of short things, all trailers. Paramount released the first trailer for Star Trek Beyond 4 days early. And we just saw it, and it's pretty freaking awesome. It's not. It seems like most of it's going to take place on a planet, not on the Enterprise. It looks like the Enterprise gets destroyed, and so everyone's set down on these pods to this planet. They're fighting for their lives, and yeah, Star Trek Beyond. I guess the Beyond is for beyond being inside of a spaceship all the time. We'll find out. It looked good. Check it out. Also, another trailer that came out that was really good was Independence Day number 2. That was a really good trailer. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm glad Will Smith ain't in it. I'm going to say it. I'm glad Will Smith ain't in it. It's new people, new storyline. Check it out. It's awesome. Jeff Goldblum is in it because he realized that nature's going to find a way. And so he's still in it. Also, the X-Men Apocalypse trailer. I'm going to tell you how I felt about it. Before, when I saw the stills, I was like, man, I know a whole bunch of cosplayers that could pull off a much better Apocalypse than this guy. I saw the trailer, and he is amazing. He does a really good job of portraying the character of Apocalypse, the way he would act, his essence. He does a very good job of it. It carries over to the film well. I'm looking forward to watching it. So that's X-Men Apocalypse trailer. Lastly, we're going to talk about Bluebell is back in stores in Texas. So it hit our area. Our area is kind of the last people to get it for some strange reason. But we got it in our stores now. I don't want you to look past the fact that 3 people did die. And they did kind of know about it. But Bluebell's delicious. So what are you going to do? All right. So that's the end of that. Let us know what you're reading down in the comments below. Leave some likes, some whatever. Subscribe. We'll talk to y'all next week.